British film noir isn't just some polite tea-drinking cousin of the American version. It can be every bit as sharp, grimy, and dangerous, but with its own icy sting. Forget trench coats and neon rain. This is post-war Britain, where the streets are still bomb-scarred, the air smells of coal smoke, and trust is a rare currency. So why haven't you seen most of these? Because they've been hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to stumble into their shadows. Let's start walking. Waterloo Road, 1945. If you think wartime propaganda films were all stiff upper lip speeches and cheerful factory workers, Waterloo Road will knock that idea sideways. Directed by Frank Launder and Sidney Gilliat, this East End drama takes a risky swing. Its hero is a deserter. John Mills plays the soldier who bolts from the front lines when he hears a black market spiv is circling his wife. And not just any spiv, Stuart Granger in full oily charmer mode, selling rationed goods out the back door while Britain fights for its life. The heart of the film isn't just the triangle of Mills, his wife, and Granger. It's the setting. The film drags you through bombed-out streets, busy pubs, and a melting pot London where dock workers, shopkeepers, and newly arrived immigrants all share the same cramped pavements. Wartime cinema rarely showed this kind of working-class tapestry, and it's a rare treat to see it here in gritty black and white. Even the supposed villain, Granger, gets flickers of sympathy. He offers Mills's wife charm and escape from the grind. She, in turn, isn't painted as a moral failure for straying. She's a young woman with a husband far away, surrounded by temptations in a lonely, uncertain world. The climax, a raw, messy fistfight between Mills and Granger with the drone of German aircraft overhead, is pure cinematic electricity. It's a propaganda film that dares to show human weakness without turning anyone into a cartoon villain. Not high art, maybe, but it's alive, warm, and brutally honest about how war twisted private lives as much as it shaped history. Pool of London, 1951. Basil Dearden's Pool of London doesn't just flirt with noir, it dives straight in, docks and all. Set along the Thames, it follows two merchant sailors on shore leave. One tumbles into a smuggling racket, the other into something far more taboo for its time, an interracial romance. Earl Cameron, in one of British cinema's earliest leading roles for a black actor, brings quiet dignity to a character navigating both the excitement of new love and the cold stare of a prejudiced society. Shot in real dockside locations, the film is a gift for lovers of old London. You get warehouses stacked with cargo, barges sliding through gray water, and cobblestone alleys alive with post-war hustle. Cinematographer Gordon Dines captures it all in moody black and white, making the Thames shimmer with both promise and menace. The robbery sequence is a masterclass in building tension without cheap tricks. It's quick, clean, and rooted in character decisions rather than flashy stunts. But what makes Pool of London truly radical is its treatment of Cameron's romance. There's no wink to the audience, no playing it for scandal. It's simply two people meeting, connecting, and trying to hold on to something real in a world that's not ready for them. Dearden's gift was humanism, and it shines here. He doesn't just give you crime and consequence. He gives you the lives brushing up against it, the stolen glances in a cafe, the loneliness of a man walking back to his ship in the rain. In a genre often obsessed with cynicism, Pool of London offers a kind of hope. Fragile, maybe, but worth fighting for. Noose, 1948. Sometimes noir doesn't need to be deadly serious. Noose, directed by Frenchman Edmond T. Greville, proves you can mix crime, style, and absurdity into something oddly irresistible. The setup is simple. A group of ex-soldiers team up to take down an Italian gangster running rackets in London's East End. But Greville isn't here for a tight crime plot. He's here for sheer visual flair and cheeky invention. This is a movie where a strangulation is suggested by a fur stole slowly unraveling in the breeze, where the heroes are well-meaning but occasionally clueless, and the villains chew the scenery like it's part of the catering budget. The cast is a colorful bunch. A brassy female reporter who can talk her way through locked doors, an over-the-top gangster who feels like he's stepped out of a comic strip, and supporting characters who seem plucked from a music hall stage. Greville's outsider's eye adds spice. The English characters are treated with a mix of affection and mild mockery, while the camera glides through nightclub scenes thick with cigarette smoke and restless energy. You get the sense the director is less interested in telling a story than in playing with the toys of cinema, lighting tricks, camera swoops, and sly visual jokes. If you want airtight plotting, this isn't the film for you. But if you're in the mood for a 90-minute exercise in style, something that treats the East End as a playground for gangsters and chancers, Noose delivers pure entertainment. It's noir with a wink, proving that grit and humor can share the same frame without canceling each other out. Hell Drivers, 1957. At first glance, Hell Drivers sounds about as thrilling as a lorry depot staff meeting. A bunch of truckers compete to see who can make the most runs in a day, hauling gravel down narrow country lanes. That's it. But under Cy Enfield's direction, and with a cast that's frankly outrageous, it becomes a pressure cooker you can't look away from. Stanley Baker leads as Tom, a driver trying to keep his head above water in a cutthroat job. Patrick McGoohan is the reigning champion, driving with reckless abandon and daring anyone to challenge him. The supporting cast reads like a who's who of future stars. A young Sean Connery, Herbert Lom, Sid James, and William Hartnell, each adding their own texture to the sweaty, competitive atmosphere. Enfield, an American exile from the Hollywood blacklist, brings a muscular pacing and sharp eye for tension. The lorries roar down twisting roads, mud flying from their tires, with the camera planted just close enough to make you grip your seat. No trick photography here. The stunts are real, the danger tangible. But it's not just about speed. The film digs into loyalty, pride, and what happens when a workplace becomes a battlefield. Every run is a test, not just of skill, but of nerve, and the competition slowly edges towards sabotage and outright violence. By the time the final showdown comes, Hell Drivers has built its stakes so high you forget it's just about trucks. It's about survival, proving yourself, and the cost of pushing past the limits, something Noir has always understood, no matter the setting. Brighton Rock, 1948. Before Richard Attenborough became the beloved elder statesman of British film, he was Pinky Brown, a teenage gangster with dead eyes and a flick knife. Adapted from Graham Greene's novel, Brighton Rock swaps the usual smoky city streets for a seaside town where cheap amusements and cheap lives go hand in hand. The Bolting brothers direct with a keen sense of place, candy-striped kiosks, seedy boarding houses, and greasy cafes where the tea's always lukewarm. Beneath the holiday facade runs a network of small-time gangsters, protection rackets, and turf wars. Pinky isn't a suave criminal mastermind. He's a boy in over his head, dangerous precisely because he's trying so hard to prove himself. Attenborough's performance is magnetic, balancing nervous energy with sudden bursts of violence. William Hartnell turns up as his grizzled right-hand man, and the supporting cast fleshes out a Brighton that feels both familiar and faintly rotten. While the Catholic guilt and philosophical tangles of Greene's novel are pared back, what's left is leaner and more cinematic. The tension comes not from elaborate plots, but from the constant sense that Pinky's world is one step away from collapsing. What lingers isn't just the violence, but the atmosphere, the smell of stale beer in cramped pubs, the wind off the channel rattling pier shutters, the flicker of funfair lights just bright enough to make you uneasy. If you only know Attenborough as the kindly old man of later years, prepare to have that image blown apart. In Brighton Rock, he's as sharp and cold as a knife's edge. The Small Back Room, 1949. Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger are best remembered for their lush Technicolor visions. But The Small Back Room is as gray and hard-edged as British noir gets. David Farrar plays Sammy Rice, a bomb disposal expert hobbling through life on a war injury, a drinking problem, and the suffocating weight of bureaucracy. The Small Back Room isn't just a physical space. It's the cramped government office where Sammy works, endlessly frustrated by indecision and red tape while German booby-trap bombs keep turning up across Britain. The real enemy here isn't just the explosives. It's the apathy and politics that waste time until someone gets killed. Powell shoots much of the film in claustrophobic interiors, lit with harsh contrasts that make even paperwork feel dangerous. Farrar's performance is tightly wound, his frustration boiling beneath a veneer of professionalism. Kathleen Byron, as his fiercely loyal partner, brings warmth without softening the film's edge. When the climax arrives, Sammy alone on a windswept beach, defusing a bomb as the tide creeps in, Powell delivers pure, nail-biting suspense. There are no quick cuts, no sudden orchestral swells, just the ticking of a clock and the knowledge that one wrong move means nothing but silence. It's not a story of triumph. It's about persistence in the face of systems that don't work. For a director often accused of being a romantic dreamer, Powell here proves he could stare reality straight in the face and make it riveting. It Always Rains on Sunday, 1947. Robert Hamer's It Always Rains on Sunday is the rainy day cousin of British noir, set in the cramped terraces of East London where the wallpaper peels as quickly as tempers. Googie Withers stars as Rose Sandgate, a housewife whose Sunday is disrupted when her former lover, now a fugitive, turns up needing shelter. The film doesn't just stick to Rose's story. It spins out into a whole neighborhood, petty crooks planning a heist, kids getting into trouble, market traders bantering under dripping awnings. Hamer captures the bustle and claustrophobia of post-war life, where everyone's business is everyone else's. Withers is phenomenal, balancing hardness with vulnerability. Rose isn't some romantic heroine. She's a woman trapped between a dull, dependable husband and the dangerous spark her old flame brings back into her life. The rain is constant, streaking the windows and slicking the cobbles, a visual reminder that escape isn't going to be easy. The tension builds not from gunfights or chases, but from the pressure cooker of domestic life. Police inch closer to the fugitive, neighbors sniff around, and Rose's world shrinks hour by hour. By the final act, you're not just wondering if he'll get away, you're wondering if she even wants him to. It Always Rains on Sunday is a rare noir that trades glamour for grit, giving you a crime story that smells of damp wool and yesterday's tea. They Made Me a Fugitive, 1947. Alberto Cavalcanti's They Made Me a Fugitive is a jagged-edged slice of post-war bitterness. Trevor Howard plays Clem, an ex-RAF man who, finding honest work scarce, drifts into a smuggling racket run by a smirking spiv. When the job turns violent, Clem is framed for murder and left to rot in prison. Once he escapes, the film shifts into a grim odyssey through a London that feels half dead and half predatory. Alleyways are narrow and wet, flats are bare, and every face seems to be sizing you up for trouble. Cavalcanti's direction keeps the tension high, lacing scenes with sharp humor that cuts as much as it amuses. One standout sequence sees Clem seeking shelter in a respectable home, only to have the lady of the house calmly plot to use him as cover to kill her own husband. It's darkly funny and completely unsettling, the kind of twist that American noir often shied away from. The finale, staged in a funeral parlor, is both visually striking and thematically perfect. Among the coffins and wreaths, Clem confronts the gang boss who betrayed him, the setting itself a reminder of how close death has been all along. This is noir with no room for redemption, just survival, and even that feels like a luxury. Night and the City, 1950. Jules Dassin's Night and the City injects American hustle into British gloom, and the result is electric. Richard Widmark plays Harry Fabian, a London hustler who dreams of breaking into the wrestling promotion game. Trouble is, every move he makes steps on someone else's toes, from small-time crooks to full-blown gangsters. Shot on location, the film's London is a maze of narrow lanes, shadowy doorways, and neon-lit dives. The wrestling world Dassin explores is grubby, physical, and as much about manipulation as it is about strength. Widmark's Fabian is pure desperation wrapped in charm. He's always talking, always scheming, but the harder he pushes, the quicker his options collapse. There's a relentless energy to Dassin's direction. Each scene feels tighter than the last, until there's nowhere for Harry to go but down. The American and British cuts differ, but the US version's driving score matches Dassin's pacing perfectly. Either way, the ending is pure noir, inevitable, brutal, and oddly poetic. Night and the City doesn't just show you London at night, it traps you in it, along with a man who can't stop running even when he's out of road. The October Man, 1947. Roy Ward Baker's The October Man is noir turned inward, focusing on the mind's ability to betray itself. John Mills plays Jim Ackland, recovering from a head injury sustained in a bus crash that killed a child in his care. Haunted by guilt and plagued by memory gaps, Jim tries to rebuild his life until a woman he knows is murdered and suspicion falls squarely on him. The brilliance of the film is how it makes you doubt Jim, along with everyone else. Is he losing time? Could he have done it without realizing? The foggy streets and dim interiors echo his confusion, blurring the line between truth and fear. Mills plays Jim with a nervous restraint, avoiding melodrama in favor of quiet unease. Faye Compton adds a layer of menace as a neighbor who seems all too ready to point the finger his way. Baker keeps the suspense taut, balancing procedural police work with the unraveling of Jim's fragile confidence. By the end, the truth emerges, but the experience has already changed him and us. In a genre full of gangsters and backroom deals, The October Man stands out for showing that the mind itself can be the most treacherous alley of all. The Long Memory, 1953. Robert Hamer's The Long Memory wastes no time in showing you just how lonely justice can be. John Mills plays Philip Davidson, released after 12 years in prison for a murder he didn't commit. Instead of heading for a fresh start, he holes up in a shack on the Kent marshes, determined to find the people who lied and sent him away. The marshes themselves are unforgettable. Wide, empty, and battered by wind, they mirror Davidson's own emotional state. Hamer shoots them in stark, unforgiving black and white, making the horizon feel as far away as hope itself. Flashbacks peel away the story of betrayal, showing how one bad turn led to years of wasted life. As Davidson closes in on the truth, the film becomes less about revenge and more about the question of whether he can actually live beyond it. Mills, as always, grounds the performance with quiet intensity. You feel the weight of every year lost. Hamer doesn't sugarcoat anything. The ending isn't neat, but it's satisfying in the way only true noir can be. The sense that while not all wrongs are righted, at least the lies can't hide anymore. The Good Die Young, 1954. Lewis Gilbert's The Good Die Young takes the heist formula and fills it with bruised humanity. 4 men from different walks of life are drawn into a robbery: a washed-up boxer, a disillusioned American veteran, a war hero turned bitter, and a struggling clerk. Each has a reason, and none of them are good. Lawrence Harvey plays the ringleader, all charm and calculated menace, convincing the others that one job will solve everything. Gilbert gives each man's backstory enough space to matter, which makes the eventual downfall sting even harder. The London streets are filmed with a cold precision, a reminder that this isn't a romantic caper. When the heist comes, it's quiet and tense, with every detail measured, but noir logic holds, and fate waits just around the corner. By the end, you're not thinking about the stolen money, but about the lives wrecked in the pursuit of it. The title isn't just a warning, it's a verdict. Obsession, 1949. In Obsession, Edward Dmytryk trades fast-paced thrills for slow, deliberate menace. Robert Newton plays a respected London doctor who discovers his wife's affair. Instead of a fit of rage, he calmly abducts her lover, chains him in the cellar, and announces that when his acid is ready, in several days' time, he'll dissolve the man completely. The weight becomes the film's masterstroke. Every day, the doctor checks on his prisoner, needling him with cool detachment, while his wife grows increasingly frantic upstairs. The viewer is caught between the sterile politeness of the drawing room and the dank dread of the cellar. Newton is chilling, playing the role with an unnerving calm that suggests total control or total madness. Phil Brown, as the trapped lover, sells the slow erosion of hope as the acid's readiness creeps closer. Set against the polite facades of middle-class London, Obsession reminds you that in noir, the deadliest traps aren't in dark alleys. They're in respectable homes, behind tidy curtains. Cast a Dark Shadow, 1955. Dirk Bogarde proves he could weaponize charm and cast a dark shadow. He plays Teddy Bear, a young widower who marries older women for their money and has a knack for being the last man they see alive. When he weds again, he assumes it'll be just as easy. He's wrong. Margaret Lockwood plays his new wife, a shrewd woman with her own plans, and their scenes crackle with a battle of wits energy. Lewis Gilbert directs with an eye for class contrast. Genteel suburban drawing rooms against the smoky bars where Teddy prowls for his next mark. Bogarde's performance is the draw. He's all easy smiles and quick lies, masking a greed that will not stop until it's satisfied. But noir loves a reversal, and watching him slowly realize he's underestimated Lockwood is where the tension really bites. By the time the ending rolls in, Cast a Dark Shadow has turned its tables neatly, proving that even the most confident predators can find themselves cornered. Wanted for Murder, 1946. Wanted for Murder, directed by Lawrence Huntington, is a slow, unsettling study of a killer hiding in plain sight. Eric Portman plays Victor Colebrook, a respectable London man with a compulsion to kill women. His grim inheritance, being the son of a famous hangman, a legacy he twists into something far darker. The film moves between the police investigation and Victor's unnervingly calm day-to-day life. Portman plays him with quiet courtesy, which makes the moments of cold calculation all the more disturbing. There's no snarling or grandstanding, just a polite mask over a dangerous void. Shot on post-war London streets, the city becomes a character, open and public, yet full of corners to disappear into. The police work is steady and methodical, adding a procedural weight to the otherwise eerie atmosphere. It's not the most violent noir, but its restraint makes it creep under your skin. Wanted for Murder shows that sometimes the scariest villains are the ones who blend in perfectly, smiling as they pass you by. So there you have it, 15 slices of British noir that prove the genre didn't need neon skylines or wisecracking private eyes to cut deep. These films lived in the damp streets, cramped flats, and moral gray zones of a country still patching itself together. Which one will you hunt down first? Drop your pick in the comments, share this list with a fellow film detective, and subscribe for more hidden gems. After all, the shadows are never empty. You just have to know where to look.